So hey, it's Ken from the Parkhill Auction Gallery and Resellers Network. I'm here with you once again, and today I want to talk about how to start an auction business. So starting an auction business can be not only fun but profitable, whether you start it as a part-time gig or whether you dive into it with both feet as a full-time career. This could very well turn into a multi-part video series because the details on this are just so intricate. There's so many pieces and so many parts. Before you start an auction business, you have to ask yourself a couple questions. To what degree and what size do I want my business to be? Am I going to sell just my own things and maybe stay small? Or are you looking at taking consignments and opening a full service, full scale auction house? So if you're starting off small, there's no reason why you can't sell your own items. Those are items that you may have sourced out yard selling, thrifting, or running small ads. Or if the intention is to, start larger and be a full service auction facility, then one of the benefits is that you are typically using other people's merchandise from estates, from house cleanouts, from oh gosh, I mean there's 100 different ways where you're going to get your consignments from. So how we got started in the business was about 25 years ago. We were actually general contracting, and we were doing house cleanouts for banks, foreclosed houses. We were getting so much merchandise that was left behind, saleable stuff that had value but people just didn't want. We started a small consignment store, and we soon learned that the problem with consignment stores is that you have no problem. It's easy to sell the good stuff, but all the rest of the just marginal stuff, your inventory just sort of sits and sits and sits and sits. So we shifted all of our attention and all of our energy from doing consignment as a retail store to doing more of a wholesale volume business. So we did start up as a live auction gallery, but over the years we found that with the internet and with developing software programs, we were able to transition our business over to an online presence. And for a while we were doing both online and internet auctions. But, even just with Corona, the last few years, that pretty much put the nails in the coffin for the few remaining live auction houses that were in at least my area. So now the internet is pretty much the primary go-to for most auctioneers. Whether live auctions will come back and be popular or not again, I don't really know. I just know that for right now, the internet auctions seem to be a way to reach out to a larger audience, and it's been fairly successful for us. So there are definitely some pluses and some minuses with live auctions versus internet auctions. So the advantage of a live auction would be that there's a lot less processing, a lot less handling. You basically empty a truck into your facility and set it up on tables. The way we do it is we separate the tables by consignor so we can keep track of it. And you can use software for that too. There's a lot of great software systems out there that'll help you keep track of your scribing and your inventory. But if you want to just start off with a manual system, with hard copy, scribing sheets and things like that, that's relatively easy to do. So the advantage of that is you don't necessarily have to photograph each individual item multiple times. You don't have to write descriptions and title lines and get involved with all that. Live auctions are also great in the fact that when the auction is done, people pay for their stuff and it all goes. It all disappears. The internet auctions are a little different. So now you have to take photographs of everything. Now you have to write descriptions, and you have to keep track of all that inventory, preferably in a database or a software system. You have to wait for the people buying items to actually come out and pick them up. And if I had a pet peeve about the whole model in regards to internet auctions and doing them as a local auction company and using the internet as a medium for bidding, my biggest complaint would be pickup. So people will typically tend to buy your item and win the bid, and then you have to sometimes chase them. I mean, it's about 75% of the time, the people want to come get their item, they want to pay for it, and they want to get it out of your building. But the other 25%, you sometimes have to chase, you have to call, you have to give reminder calls too. So, you know, that's part of the downside of the business. One of the upsides of the internet business over a live auction is that the internet auction business typically tends statistically to get a higher hammer price, a higher sale price. When we did all of our database work in tracking on figuring out what one item would sell for live versus internet, we were finding that we were about 20 to 30% higher prices, which means higher profit, which means more money for your consignors. And even though you want to be fair and treat your buyers fairly, you know, you still have a contractual obligation to your sellers to get them the most amount of money. So you represent them more so than your buyers. So the higher dollar value, the higher hammer price, the higher sale price that you can get for your consignor, the better. And you'll retain more consignors over time. You'll retain better quality consignors over time. So today I'm not really going to get, you know, too in depth with all the different platforms that you could use for starting your own auction business. That may be a video down the road we'll do, but I just wanted to touch today, you know, more so on the basics and, you know, what's needed. So starting off even small, you're going to need an auctioneer's license if you plan on selling live or you plan on taking consignment for a living. There's some real gray area in regards to whether you can take consignment like on eBay and things like that and be like an eBay selling partner, eBay trading partner. It's a real gray area. You ask 10 people, you get 10 different answers. So that's a different avenue. We'll maybe touch on that later. But, you know, for right now, we're talking about what it takes to do a local auction and whether that be live or using the internet. One of the things that you'll learn how to do when you go to school is how to call an auction. It's for some people it's hard and it's intimidating. For others, you know, it's fun. So depending on, you know, where you're at with that, whether you decide that you want to do live auctions or internet auctions, you may or may not need to use that skill. So you say, well, you know, look, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be a big operation. I don't want to get all involved in all that. I just want to make some extra money on the side. Well, you can do that. And if you're going to plan on doing it that way, then it's really simple. You just utilize some of the existing auction platforms. You can start your business just taking consignment, and you can start your business just selling on a proven system that works, like eBay or Facebook Marketplace. You can take in consignment and sell it for people on Facebook Marketplace. A lot of people have the merchandise, but they don't have the time, or they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the expertise, maybe they don't have computer skills. So there's definitely a business there. You know, I have to laugh because I watch all these videos, and a lot of the people that make a living in the resale business, they're always talking about, oh, you know, it's you know, sourcing is one of the most difficult things. And I watch endless videos of people going to thrift shops and buying items for $8 and putting them on the internet for $16 or $20. And they make money doing it, sure, but there's a whole bunch of things that you have to look at. What's the sell-through? Doesn't mean everything you buy is going to sell. So, you know, that's risky to me. That's a lot more risky than me taking other people's items and running it through the successful system that we have for selling things. If I'm going to spend money on my business, I would much, much rather spend the money for me to build an audience and for me to build my business through marketing and for people to know my brand and to know who it is and what we do. And if I can have a strong buyer's following, meaning I can have a database right now of about 5,500 buyers that will buy from us on a regular basis. And I failed to mention that, we're using primarily our own software program that we developed ourselves, and it's called ubid2buy.com. I'll put the link down in the comments below if you want to check it out. Keep one thing in mind also, if you're on the West Coast and you see items in our auction after looking at the link, we really don't ship. We're a local auction business where people come to our business and they buy locally, they pick up locally, and we really try not to ship items out. So you can certainly look at the link to see how we've done it, but please don't bid if you're going to buy a dresser and expect us to get it out to you, on the West Coast, or really any place other than central Massachusetts, which is where we're located. So how much space you're going to need? Well, again, it depends on the size of your business. If you're just going to use this as a sideline, you're just going to sell for just a few consignors, you're going to use eBay as a platform to sell your merchandise, then you don't need much space at all. You can put some shelving up in your garage or your basement, or in your storage space, or you can rent a little unit at self-storage somewhere. You don't need much space to get started at all. If you're planning on doing it full-time, then you may need a little bit more space. We have about 20,000 square feet of warehouse, which is a pretty good size area. We could do it with 4,000 square feet if I were doing it full-time, but you're going to have to really limit the amount of things you take. Like you can see, we have a lot of shelving units, and shelving is really key if you want to manage lots of items. We do leave like some of our floor space open with just tables, and the reason is when you get things like dressers and furniture and things that are wash machines, larger items that you're selling, you don't want to put those on shelves. You need floor space for that. Whether you're going to take everything in a state or whether you're just going to be selective is another thing you have to ask yourself. If you are a full service, full size auction business and you're doing any kind of volume, then you may have to take furniture. Furniture is like my boat anchor. It is. I tell people all the time, they say, well, what am I going to do with this china cabinet? Well, I don't know. I say, hey, look, if you have a boat and you want a mooring, then throw it out in the pond and tie a rope to it, because that's all it's really worth these days. And that may be a little harsh because there is still somewhat of a used furniture market, but let me tell you, it is limited. I would just assume take a Hummel that I can fit in my hand and sell that for $20, $30 than to try to sell a used sofa that takes up all this space. My opinion, don't waste your time. Be very, very selective in the furniture that you take, and I would just, if you have the option of just leaving it, not even taking it, go into a house, go into a property, go to a consignor, and just cherry pick. Take the small stuff. Don't waste up your resources, your square footage, and you have to move it. You have to pick up that hutch, drag it all the way back to your facility or your storage. It's hard to photograph, and God forbid your buyers don't come and pick it up right away. You're stuck. So what are some of the categories that you'll be selling in the auction business? Well, there's some staples. There's things like jewelry, tray lots of jewelry. Tray lots of jewelry like these, they'll typically bring anywhere from $25 to $100. There's glass, there's china, there's furniture like we mentioned. We get tons and tons of furniture from estates, from storage units, from people moving and downsizing. Glass, china, things like electronics and computers. Look, here's a whole tray lot full of headphones. Tools. Tools is a big staple of the auction business. It's a good seller, they're easy to source, and we sell a ton of them. The buyers like tools because, some of these tools are expensive to buy brand new, and when they can get a whole box lot or a whole tray lot full of tools for $50, that's a savings to them. Look at here, we're selling 3 air conditioners, all separate lots. Good stuff. Here again, look, more tools, whole lot full of umbrellas, linens, figurines, and collectibles. Some might be Hummel, some might just be knockoffs. China. Home goods. You know, you go to the store, and if you have to buy a brand new coffee pot, it might cost you $20. But, you know, in an auction, we might put 4 of these things together, and the whole lot might only sell for $20. It's a great value for a buyer. Here's a giant box full of mop heads. You know, anything and everything. I'm going to say that, you know, being an auctioneer and having an auction business, it's a treasure hunt every single day. You never know what's going to come in the door. You never know what you're going to find digging through an attic or a basement. It's always an adventure. The inventory is always changing. Now, in our business, the way we do it is we have 4 sections set up. Each section is about 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. See, we have a number above. This is section 2. It's about 2,000 square feet. This is section 3. And each section represents a week of auction. So for us, we tend to stay between 100 and 150 items or 150 lots. And that seems to be enough, depending on what our average hammer price is, for us to be able to cover cost and make a living. So for us, because, you know, we're a fairly good sized operation, we need to make money from several different income streams or, you know, revenue streams. So we have our own proprietary software called ubidtobuy.com. We mentioned that earlier. And we also sell things on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. One of the other things that we have is a real estate brokerage, and the real estate brokerage is what drives a lot of business to us. We work primarily with the states, and it's a specialty. So the easiest way to do it nowadays, to start an auction business, if I were doing it all over again from scratch, it would pretty much come down to this. I would search diligently for a good fit regarding a software platform that I could customize to use and not have to reinvent the wheel. That would be the first step. There's a lot of great software out there and platforms that you can use. You could even give me a call if you're interested in perhaps cloning the software that we use. If you like the UBID to buy software, we could talk about, you know, getting you started in something like that. Or you can, again, go online and search. There's a number of different ones. And I'm not here to sell you on our platform. I'm here to teach you about starting an auction business. So, but that is an option. As an auction business, one of your biggest and best assets is your buyer base, your buyer list. That's your database of names that you can mail to or call or email or contact whenever you have an auction, whether that be an internet auction or whether that be a live auction. You may say, well, how do I get this buyer list? Well, through hard work and diligence, I'll tell you. It takes years sometimes to develop and fine-tune a really good buyer list. But to start off, you may find you're going to have some auctions and may have to sacrifice some merchandise in order to get your branding out there and get your name known in the auction business. There's a whole lot of tools that you can use to post your auctions and get some promotion. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. I can remember my first auction. It was live. It was probably about 15 years ago, and we put out upwards of about $10,000 worth of merchandise, antiques, collectibles, that sort of thing. And you know, I think we probably had maybe 40, 50 bid cards out, so we did have attendance. But it wasn't great attendance, and you know, we gave a lot of the things away for short money. Well, that's the cost of developing a buyer list, because those 40 or 50 people that showed up at that first auction, Well, we captured their name and their contact information, and then when we did the next auction, we already had a good place to start. So sometimes it takes several auctions to develop a strong enough buyer list to be able to make enough money to be profitable. So that process could take a few months at minimum. And even after 15 years of being in an auction business, we are still developing our buyer list on a week-to-week basis, because people come in and out of the resale business. Your retail customers come and go, they move, they pass away. So where do you find your consignors? Well, after you've established your business, they just seem to come. It's endless merchandise. Getting consignments never seems to be a problem, especially if you're running in the general merchandise category. There's just tons and tons and tons of it. If you want to focus more on specialty auctions like tools or equipment, some people do equipment and city surplus stuff from the DBWs and stuff. That's a great venue. You can specialize in antiques. A lot of the higher end, multi-million dollar auction houses sell higher end antiques. We chose general merchandise, and we have to do a lot of volume to make the same amount of money. We're working on a lot smaller margins, but you know what? The reason why we chose it was because it's endless and it's easy to find. It's easy to source. Once you've established your business, after year 1, year 2, you're going to have so much general merchandise coming through your doors that it's never, ever, ever been a problem getting consignment. But, getting back to where do you find people in the beginning to sell stuff for? Where do you find your consignors? Well, you can run small ads in the newspaper, just these little 1-2 line ads in the service directory. You pay $50, $100, $150 a month, $200 a month, and it does make the phone ring. Your ad might say something like, we can get you cash for. I never really say we buy. I usually say we can get you cash for. And then when they call, you explain the auction process to them. And most of the time, a lot of people are just willing to they just want it gone. They're moving. They've got a time frame. So, if you're able to help them out with that process, then they're glad to give you the consignment. So another great resource for you to use if you're an auction business and get some consignments is realtors. Reach out to your local realtors, tell them what you're doing, tell them who you are, and they'll bring you into the process as they're selling a home, and you can step in, help their clients with liquidating their personal property. Oftentimes they're going from big houses to small, or they're moving across the country. And this is a good opportunity for them to purge a lot of things they don't want. So working with realtors is a good asset. If you have connections with antique dealers and antique shops, you can oftentimes start your business off with reaching out to them and asking them if they have anything that they'd like to house sale, if they'd like to move anything along the process. The good and bad thing about working with antique dealers and antique shops is that, they're a good resource, and they'll supply you with merchandise to sell, but chances are the stuff they're going to give you is stuff that they can't sell. So, what you really want is you want the best of the best if possible. And oftentimes from antique dealers or antique shops, you're getting kind of the stuff that may be, slow to move inventory. So it's not my first pick, but it is definitely a resource to be able to use. Once you've established your business and you're getting some good hammer prices, you'll find that the consignors will just come. Working with people in the business that clean out houses or pickers, oftentimes you can get some really good consignors that way, and they'll give you quality stuff. It's really, really important that you set the bar high even from the beginning. You can't sell junk. If you want to be a low-end, bottom-feeding auction and selling nothing but $2, $3, $5, $10 items, then that's the reputation that you're going to get. Whatever bar you set for your consignments is going to stay with you for a long time. So, don't be afraid to say, hey, look, we're not going to take any items less than X amount of money. In our case, it's usually $25. That doesn't mean that we don't sell some things that sell for less than 25, because sometimes if we're doing a big estate, the deal is if we take everything in the house, if we get the car and the camper that we're going to make some really good money on, well, then we also have to take, the silverware in the drawers and the things that may not sell for as much money. So it's always sort of a trade-off. But I mean, all in all, you have to pretty much set the bar at a minimum standard. You can always sell box lots too. If you may not want to sell, one pottery planter, but if you can get a whole damn box full of them, well, there's your $25 minimum lot. As we walked through earlier, you saw just a whole ton of things that were lotted together, and that's because I'm not going to sell one hammer. But, damn it, I will sell a whole toolbox, or I will sell a whole tray lot full of screwdrivers. Not going to sell one. Not going to sell one pan, but I'll sell a whole box lot or a whole set full of pots and pans. It really comes down to trying to get your lot value up high enough so that you can be profitable and giving your buyers value. So here's looking at something from another perspective. If you've got a local audience that are going to pick up locally and they're going to come out to your auction to pick up merchandise, if they only win one thing and it's $5, they're a lot less likely to drive 15 miles to come to pick it up. But if you can give them value and give them larger lots and they're spending more money, they're more likely to come and pick it up. So I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about selling the house stuff, meaning owned by the house or the business, versus consignment stuff. When you sell stuff for the house, your risk is increased because oftentimes you have money, time, effort into those items, and sometimes items can sell in auction for less than you've got into them. So there's a fair amount of risk with that. When you sell stuff for a consignor, well, you're selling stuff for other people, and you don't really have any hard money into it. You don't have any actual cash into buying it. So, working on a consignment, working on a commission, it's really could be a much better solution depending on what you're selling. So what's the downside about consignment? Well, when you take someone's consignment under contract to sell for them, and if you don't get enough money for the items, what they consider fair and reasonable, or if you don't have a strong enough buyer base, all these things. If they're not happy with the process, chances are they're going to bitch and moan and squawk, talking smack about your business, which is not going to help it grow and be successful. So if the content in this video has been helpful to you and you find value, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're seeing it on Facebook, like the post, comment below with any questions or comments you may have, and shoot me a friend request. More than happy to mentor anybody that's starting off in the business. You can give me a call here at the office, you can drop me an email, you can send me a private message. I'm more than glad to help. It's our intention to do a weekly vlog covering a whole range of different topics relating to primarily reselling and the auction business in general. So until next week, we'll see you soon.